Hello. As you might know, I'm Rahasia. I do Rahasia Uncensored on BBS Radio, on the Spiritual Activist podcast. I publish the Lotus Guide magazine here in Northern California. And surprisingly, we're going to have that issue coming out actually tomorrow. It's going to be delivered tomorrow on Friday, whatever the date is. I've been so isolated, I'm sort of out of touch with a lot of things, but not this. I know tomorrow I have to pick up the magazine in Chico. There's a few things I'd like to talk about. One, I wash my hands, so it's okay if I touch my face. But two, okay, in the next issue, we have, just briefly, we have an article by Bruce Lipton. He's talking about the biological ramifications of isolation, which is important. At the same time, practicing safe distance and all that. And if you go to the online version, which would be www.lotusguide.com/coronavirus, I have the articles there too, with some hot links, references, and a couple of videos. Probably this one too, maybe I'll put on there. But in that issue, we have a lot of our advertisers have hung in there, and they see this as a passing moment in time. And since the magazine's going to be out all the way up and through July, let's see, April, June, yeah, all the way through the third week of July, they see no need to pull their ads. Some advertisers, I can't blame them, but they're sort of afraid there won't be any business. But I don't agree with that. Matter of fact, I see right now places like in Montana, there's a doctor speaking out up there. I'm just going to go on, and because a lot of people ask me, Rossi, what do you think about what's going on? Well, I've always went to the side of caution when it comes to things like this, although the government has never told us the truth from 9/11 on. It goes all the way back to the Civil War. They've never told us the truth, which basically is the banks are behind most everything that happens on our planet. But I do believe the virus is probably real. More than likely it is. Whether it came out of the wet markets in Wuhan and other places, or out of a level 4 biolab outside of Wuhan, is up for debate. And it looks like it probably come out of the lab, more than likely. But it could have come out of the wet market. And I thought it was sort of surprising that the World Health Organization, well, it's not surprising actually, if you stop and think about it. The World Health Organization, they're just a mouthpiece for China and Bill Gates. That's just how it is. They pretty much told China it was okay to keep their wet markets open, which is really a bunch of people doing barbaric practices, eating wild animals and bats and birds, and my God. I would like to think that the human race is a little more advanced than we were 1,000 years ago. But to be honest with you, when I look at today's religion, that alone tells me we're way back in time, way back in time. We are so stuck there. There's a preacher on TV saying if people would touch their screens, they would be cured of the coronavirus, and people are actually doing it. Not knowing if they touched the screen and somebody else touched the screen that had coronavirus, that's how they would get it. But that's another story, which I wrote my book about, just the way our beliefs can manage how we decode our reality. What you believe really does give you tunnel vision, and what you believe pretty much dictates how you see reality and how you decode information. And we usually decode that information to reinforce our previously held beliefs, which is why it's no accident that mostly Christians are born in a Christian country. Mostly Islamic people are born in the Middle East. Doesn't take a genius to figure this out at this point. So what am I talking about today? I think above and beyond the issue coming out this week, and you can read it online too. It's in a Flip magazine. You can sit down in a coffee shop in your safe space and flip through our magazine. And I really encourage you to be supportive of our advertisers who's being supportive of us, and even the past advertisers that aren't in it this time. They'll come back, you know. It seems like we have so many advertisers that will advertise for a few years and they say, well, we're going to give it a break. They give it a break, but they come back. It's a good magazine. It's a directory too. I mean, you don't take your telephone number out of the telephone book because you're getting enough calls, you know. It makes sense. What I'd really like to get into is, I think we've come to a point in time in history. Hang on, I'm going to look at the clock here. Okay. It's almost 3 o'clock. I'm going to have to go real soon. So I'm just going to say this. I think we've come to a time in history where you either need to step up or get the hell out of the way, because times are changing. You know, when they deplatformed Alex Jones, I listened to Alex Jones for about 10 minutes, and it's like listening to somebody scrape their fingers on the chalkboard. Good interest, a lot of good information though, but he extrapolates and he takes too far steps out there. And unfortunately, some of it ends up being true, but I could sort of see why they took him down, deplatformed him from Vimeo, YouTube, LinkedIn, everything, you know? Okay. But I don't think they should have, because YouTube is not a magazine or a publisher. So they don't have that right. They're a platform. They don't have the right to really do that, but they're doing it anyway with our government and the NSA blessing. But they recently deplatformed Brian Rose of London Real. Now, I don't know if you've watched LondonReal.tv. He has some of the greatest interviews for 9, 10, 12 years, something like that. He has interviews with gurus and Bruce Lipton and Joe Dispenza and basically a lot of the people that we have interviews with too. But he is like on this other realm of notoriety and traditionalism. He is like a solid person. Not that I'm not solid. I mean, maybe, but he has a really great channel. They took him and deplatformed him and everything, even Dropbox, Vimeo, YouTube, LinkedIn, everything took him down. The only way you can see his videos now is to go to the LondonReal.tv, and there's a hashtag LondonRealArmy. If you hashtag that, you can pull up a lot of information too. I think we need to step up here, because this is a slippery slope. The reason he was deplatformed is because he interviewed David Icke. And I remember when I interviewed David Icke years ago, none of this was happening. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been afraid to ask him about these things. There's certain things that you cannot talk about. One is simply this. You can talk about the coronavirus, you can talk about vaccinations, you can talk about 5G, you can talk about a lot of things, but you don't want to put them together. If you put them together, this is what they're afraid of. Now, why is that? Why would they be afraid of David Icke talking about 5G and its effects on the coronavirus? Why would that be? If it's not true, then what's the problem? Just prove that it's not true and we're up and running again. There's something about it. And this is making anybody with a IQ over 80 or 90 think about this, because we have time. We're at home now. We're thinking about all this, you know. Netflix isn't the end-all education people are getting right now. There's a reason they did this to Brian. And I think we need to make it clear that they cannot do this because they're going to end up doing it to my YouTube channel eventually. If this keeps on rolling out and we just let it happen, they will do it to me also, because I've interviewed ex-CIA people talking about the government, talking about the NSA. Another CIA person was talking about vaccinations, doctors talking about vaccinations. I mean, the list goes on. It's just that I'm not popular enough to cause that to come to their attention, except on my Facebook channel, which is facebook.com/Rahasia Poe. It covers our magazine, basically. I put up a picture and what was going on with, I don't even want to say the name anymore, but a certain author wrote a certain book in 1981 about exactly what's going on right now, and even said when it was going to happen. It's a fiction book, but it laid out everything perfectly. And I put up pictures of the pages where he was saying that in a fictional book almost 40 years ago, explaining that in 2020, this was going to happen, right down to the town, the date, the lab, the research lab, everything. And when you read that, you're only stuck with a few conclusions. One, he is like a super psychic or time traveler. Both of those don't really hit me as being true. Or somebody seen that book and one of these pathological morons used it as a playbook. And basically, I don't know what, just to mess with our heads, to screw with our minds. I have no idea. But my point is, within 10 minutes, it was taken off. Do we or do we not have freedom of speech anymore? I would have to say it's questionable. And the slope that we're on is so slippery. Matter of fact, YouTube told Brian Rose he can't even make a YouTube and tell people that they can go to his website and watch the video, the interview with David Icke. And I really suggest you go to londonreal.tv, watch that interview with David Icke, and you tell me that there isn't something to it. While all of this is going on, the coronavirus, COVID-19, whatever you want to call it, it's slowly coming out that there are, and this is going to probably amaze you, there are other things happening in the world. Guess what they are? They're deploying, which is a military word, they're deploying 5G all over the place. They're really ramping up with Elon Musk, with SpaceX, to put thousands of more. It started out, they were going to put 2,000. Those are up there, satellites, blasting this planet with 5G. Then they were going to go to 20 or 22,000. Now they're up to over 40,000 satellites around the planet, creating this Skynet. And you should go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Lotus Guide, and go to the BBS folder and watch my interview with Alana Freeland about Skynet, what these people are planning. We better start paying attention. And I have apprehension of even telling you about this, but I'm telling you, if we don't start talking about it and really waking each other up to what's going on, all of these crazy conspiracy stories, they're going to be knocking on our door, literally knocking on our door. They're already talking about that in certain countries. Do you know in Argentina, you can't even use public transportation or get on an airplane unless you have your vaccinations and have paperwork to prove it. Now, it's only a matter of time till people figure out what's in these vaccinations, and it's nanoparticles. Believe it or not, it's a conspiracy idea, but it's been shown and proven. Do your research. You are responsible for finding the truth. It's not my responsibility. It's my responsibility as a human being to sort of guide you in a particular way to look into things. Like when I go into YouTube, I watch all YouTubes. The ones I don't agree with, the ones I do agree with, the ones I wonder about. Don't just go down one road, and because the cognitive dissonance can really encapsulate you into a one line of thought. And this is how the algorithms on Google and Facebook and YouTube, they all work like this. When you start putting in the first little searches, it will narrow your search down, and it'll take you down that direction. So consequently, you go on Google and you can put out anything. Feathered winged serpents that are purple in Ireland are taking over the world. I guarantee you there will come up a million websites that agrees with you. And the first thing you know, you have these crazy conspiracy stories, and you think, well, they got to be true. Look at, there's like 10 million websites that agree with me, and they all use each other as references. I don't think that's the way to do things, although it seems the way things that are happening right now. What else can we talk about? I think the big thing on my mind right now is Brian Rose. He needs our help. If you go to hashtag London Real Army and go to his website, londonreal.tv, and leave some comments, leave some ideas, email him, because they are taking him down. And I forget the saying, but a long time ago somebody came up with a quote, when they came for the workers, I didn't say anything. When they came for the da-da, I didn't say anything. When they came for me, there was nobody left. Well, guess what? They're coming for us right now, and there's very few of us left that's speaking out. And most of the people that speak out have an agenda, and it's sort of one-sided. I have no agenda. I just want to live out my life, breathe clean oxygen, which hasn't been possible in years, eat good food, which is rare. You can go to the market and get good GMO-free foods, organic and all that. A lot of people can't even afford it, not realizing that all they have to do is eat half as much and pay twice as much, and you get better food and same price. But I know a lot of you out there, you know me. I've been pretty much isolated, although today I'm going flying with a friend. We're going to get a fresh perspective on this whole Northern Valley area. And it's time to wake up. It really is. And if we don't, I remember a friend of mine in Europe once said, he says, if you guys don't wake up, you're going to get what you deserve. And I was offended at that. But he's right. We're going to get what we deserve. So I think we deserve more. I think I deserve to be able to say this without feeling like, the Gestapo is going to come after me. And the Gestapo wears a different hat nowadays. They wear the hat of corporate media and corporations and government agencies. I mean, look at our government agencies. We can't trust them. None of them. Even the head researcher at CDC spoke out and said, no, we have no idea of the ramifications of jamming little kids with vaccinations. We haven't done our work. If you watch one of my radio shows, the head of the FCC blatantly says that they haven't spent $1, zero, on any research on what 5G, 4G, 3G, any of it would have on our biology. But I beg to differ with them. I think they know exactly what it's doing, and that gets into another realm that probably isn't appropriate right now. Well, I'm gonna go out and enjoy myself today and see what the world has to offer. Maybe not even think about coronavirus for one day. You all take care. Love you all. Peace be with you. Take care.